Hello everyone, welcome back, long time no see. I'm back with another book club episode. My name is Kirsten, I love books and I have not been reading as much as I would like to because I'm just reading a lot for school. I just started my master's degree in business communication and media and I need to read a lot. So I don't really have as much time to read the books that I want to read for self-development or relaxation as I would like. But I still managed to get you 3 books, which is not that much compared to the previous book episodes, and I'm not gonna even apologize anymore because life is life and I need to accept the fact that I just won't be reading as much as last year. But anyways, I do have some great book recommendations for you. But before we get into the books, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel because it would really help me. And also, if you have some book recommendations, please share them in the comments below. And we could become Goodreads friends if you want to. The link to my Goodreads is in the bio. In the description. Anyways, let's get into the first book, which, okay. Serotonin by Thiel with Blade Masters. If you're new to this book club thing here on my channel, I would like to tell you that I'm not only doing business books, I read fantasy, self-development, spiritual books, psychology books, sociology books, business books. That's kind of my genre, that's kind of my thing. I read fantasy to relax and I read this because I find it interesting. So there's lots of diversity in these book club episodes and definitely also in this episode, for real. Anyway, Serotonin talks about startups. Thiel, you might know, he is one of the men behind, was it PayPal? It's been quite some time. Yeah, co-founded PayPal and Palantir, which to be honest, doesn't ring a bell to me. He also funded SpaceX, is buddies with Elon Musk. But in this book, he tackles on the main issues entrepreneurs have, how he overcome them, but also how his friends, other entrepreneurs overcome those fears and those issues and obstacles. And it's really interesting to read. Like, I don't have friends who have businesses like Tesla. I do have friends who are entrepreneurs. I work for a startup myself, but it's interesting to see it from a different side of view because this is very tech related, but obviously the tips that he gives are implementable for any kind of startup. So that is kind of, I don't really have that much to say. It's also not a very thick book. What I could say is thank you, colleague, for letting me borrow this. We have, it's very cute. We have a bookcase at the office, bookshelf, and there are not really that many books there. I think about like 20 to 30. But no one really reads them, I find. I think. Do you? And so I saw one of these and I asked like, hey, can I just take this home to borrow? So I need to take this back to the office tomorrow because now I've finally done this episode. But it's really nice. It's a really cool initiative. So if you enjoy reading stories, experiences from entrepreneurs about how they started up their business, also about their failures, which is something that I enjoy because yeah, it really shows you what you can learn, then I can recommend this book. It's not really life-changing, but I mean, yeah, it's also, yeah. I think I gave it 3 stars. I would give it 3 stars right now. So I think I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but don't come after me. Don't shoot the messenger. So the next book, I'm doubting which one I should, no, okay, I know it. Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. So this book has been, like, this book was recommended to me by quite some friends, and I didn't know who I knew who Jay Shetty was, but I just only saw his face and I was like, oh, that's a happy guy again. Like, what the fuck is he gonna teach me about thinking like a monk? Like, when you read Think Like a Monk and see his head, it gave me error. So my friends kept persisting, like, no, really read this. And I finally did, and okay, yeah, he has been a monk himself, so that's why he knows how to think like a monk. It's a super interesting book because it not only talks about his own journey from he grew up in London, worked in the city, you know, the hustle, the very, very intense life. And he went from that and thinking like that would be his life and main goal, to a monastery in, I'm not sure where exactly anymore, but he went to a monastery and he learned a lot. So each chapter starts with some story about one of his experiences, and then it goes into the lessons about those, about how you can also implement that in your own life, very practical tips and practices. And I think that that's a great way to engage people, and but also to really teach your readers some things. Therefore, I was very pleasantly surprised when I started reading this book. Just to tell you what he goes into: how to find your purpose, how to overcome negativity. There's a lot about negativity and positivity in there, which I love, because I 100% believe in surrounding yourself with positivity, positive people, positive vibes makes you a positive person, vibrations. But being with negative people definitely gets you in a... Why comparison kills love, how to use your fear. This was in particular a chapter that I really enjoyed, because it talks about his own personal fear, his greatest fear, and how he turned that into strength. And right now I couldn't, like, yes, I'm afraid for spiders, but that's not my greatest fear. There was a spider here though, yesterday. Not sure what. But that is a chapter that I enjoyed mainly myself, and why you are not your thoughts, why kindness is crucial to success, and so much more. I was, again, very pleasantly surprised. If you are interested in spirituality, self-development, not only spirituality, because it's not, because he was so skeptical himself, it's not like the very dreamy spirituality, it's very rational spirituality, which I'm a direct person. I love, yeah, I'm very grounded in that sense, sober. So this was perfect for me in that regard. If you're interested in those topics, and especially if you are already listening to his podcast, he also has a podcast, then I can highly recommend this book. So yeah, that's that. And the third book that I want to talk to you about, Fruit of the Knowledge by Liz Stromquist. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing the last name right. This was one of my birthday gifts. Thank you so much. And it's completely different than any other book that I've ever read, because one, it's about vaginas and periods and orgasms and pay gap, but it's in like a very visual, I love this, it's in a very visual way. And at first, like, being very honest, at first I was like, this is like a comic book. I was kind of surprised. I was like, okay, I'm not a child anymore, but it makes those topics so much lighter. And sometimes those topics don't need to be lighter because they're very serious and they need to be addressed. However, in this specific book, I enjoyed it, and there was some humor in it. There were very concrete examples of historians, or not historians, but people back in history who said certain things that I didn't know about. And so it goes, like I already said, into pay gap and just inequality in general, kind of, but then it goes into orgasms and how men would react if they were like in the position of a woman, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And then it goes into periods and how that's kind of seen as disgusting, but why? Honestly, why? It's just annoying, but like, that's it. Talking about annoying, it also goes into how doctors treated women who want to have sex, but obviously that was not okay. Women cannot enjoy sex. Back in the day, no one could enjoy sex, especially women. They're not allowed to enjoy sex. But this book, again, in a comic way, shows you how they were dealt with, those women, which is horrible, for sure. But it was also very interesting to read about. I was, again, pleasantly surprised with this book, and I can highly recommend it. I also love the visuals. Let me, wait. I don't know if you can actually see it from where I was showing it to you before. So yeah, The Fruit of the Knowledge, the vulva versus the patriarchy. One big yes. Thank you, dear friends, for giving it to me. And that was the book club episode. I am currently working on a couple of books, which you may have seen in the intro. And one of them is Dutch, and the rest is all English. I'm hoping that I will finish them very soon. But in the meantime, be sure to also follow me on Instagram, and again, subscribe to my channel, because then you can see many other aspects of my life, because I'm not just a book nerd, but it is a big part of who I am. See you next week for a new video.